Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried growing food only to fail because your space is too small? Your soil is terrible or your garden floods every time it rains? Because that was me. This homestead right here sits on heavy clay soil. It floods and it's surrounded by neighbors on all sides. Yet we're still growing a lot of food. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to grow more food in a small space, even if your conditions are far from perfect, using raised beds, containers, smart spacing, and a few lessons I've learned the hard way. If you want to start a food garden and don't know where to begin, then this video is for you. I started this small little homestead in 2021 and decided to call it the Small Urban Greens Homestead in the middle of the suburban area. And I like to focus on growing food in small urban spaces. This isn't a picture-perfect garden channel. This is a real homestead with real weather, real failures, and real food on the table. And today I want to walk you through why small spaces can actually be an advantage, and the best methods that work for tight areas, as well as how you can start, even if your soil is clay, your yard floods, or you only have pots. So in this area of the garden, this is our flooding area, and so we have 3 neighbors because we are in a cul-de-sac, and unfortunately is the house that is on the corner. So we have 4 neighbors, but 3 of them, all their water when their garden floods comes into our garden, floods this area, and goes outside the back, outside the gate, into the big drain outside on the road. So this was the only place I could actually build my homestead, and instead of fighting the problem, we decided to find a solution. My solution was raised beds. And we have tried in the past to grow in the ground, but the clay soil is so bad that it would take probably years for it to actually turn into beautiful soil if I had to try to amend the soil. And I know someone did suggest to put cardboard and some wood chips, and that is a brilliant idea, but I want to grow now. I don't want to wait for all of that to break down. Like right now, I'm very happy with the raised beds. It's doing an amazing job, and the look, feel is exactly what I enjoy. It's the look I'm looking for, and just to walk around my little homestead feels like a totally different world. So let me show you what is going on at the small little homestead. As I mentioned, we use raised beds, and it has been an absolute lifesaver for us. Not only do we grow the most amazing crops in the raised beds, I get to control the soil that goes into my raised beds, make sure that the drainage is really, really great. And I've mentioned it in a few of my videos that we actually do our own compost at home. But it's not enough in order to fill all my raised beds. So I do buy some 30 DM compost, and I mix it in with our compost that we sieve out here in our bays, and I mix some perlite and some peat moss into it. So I like to do things like trelling, and when I trelly, I'll trelly maybe like cucumbers and tomatoes and beans. But underneath I have that space, I can actually just fit some more crops in, and that would be things like maybe basil and lettuce, carrots and beetroots, anything that's going to grow maybe under the ground. So you have all that space you can utilize when things are growing up the vines, and all that space underneath. So raised beds also warm up much faster in winter, and it's really great just to get that head start. So while you're sowing all your seeds, by the time spring comes, you've got your little seedlings already popping up because the soil is warming up much faster than it would be in a seedling tray, unless you have your seedling trays on a mat. But I found that if I put my seedling trays in the hothouse, it doesn't germinate as fast as my seedlings in a raised bed. Also, during winter, what we do is that I would leave some of my raised beds totally open. To me, winter is a very slow season for me, and I only start growing things like maybe your winter crops. And most of my beds sit open, and instead of just letting it sit open, I use it as a compost bin. So I will throw things like my straw clippings, a whole bunch of dried leaves that fall off the tree during winter, food scraps. I'll also throw things like the chicken and the rabbit manure in here, and yeah, I just let nature do its thing and let it break down. So by the time winter's finished, spring starts hitting us, I can then prep my soil and top it up with some more compost that I have here at the homestead, and just get my spring seedlings all sorted. So to me, it's a win-win situation, because my raised beds are like little compost bins for me during winter period. Definitely give raised beds a chance. They fit very nicely in some spaces, and you don't need to go all out like I have. You can just start with one raised bed, and from one raised bed you will definitely get another one pot, and you'll find that you'll start wanting to grow more crops and more crops. Before you know it, you're running out of space. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is spacing plants too far apart. In small gardens, space is gold. Instead of planting randomly, I focus on intentional spacing, similar to your square foot gardening. What this means is knowing which plants grow up versus out, and grouping compatible crops, also maximizing vertical space. So a great example would be corn and cucumbers and tomatoes. They all grow upwards. That leaves room below for greens and herbs. So in my situation, I have some corn here that I have grown. Underneath is a whole bunch of free space. So I make sure that I have melons crawling all around this space. And I guess you could also put some lettuce and some kale and some spinach around here as well. Also, we grow in containers, and we normally overwinter all our peppers and chilies. You can grow things like cucumbers and tomatoes in pots. All you have to do is either get a stick to support them or a cage, so that when your cucumbers or your tomatoes start forming, or even beans, they have that support and they don't flip over. And if you're a renter and need to actually take your pot with you to your new place, you can just up and take it. Let's go around my little homestead, and I'll show you all fruit trees that we are growing in pots. I think we only got 4 fruit trees in the ground, and that was because in the very first year of me homesteading, I didn't know better. And now that the roots have established underground and I don't want to tamper with taking these trees out, that is fine, because the trees are on the top part of the homestead and not at the bottom part. We did have a tamarella tree at the bottom, and unfortunately we lost that because of all the flooding, and basically it got root rot. So we'll just start on the side of the homestead. You can see over there I have 2 butternuts that we are actually growing and trailing all the way on the top there, and they are looking absolutely amazing. We just got it in small little pots like that instead of having it in the ground, because I needed somewhere they could trail it, but I couldn't have it in the ground because of the flooding, and it was absolutely soaking wet here. So I've just put it in there, and it seems to be doing perfectly. The first time I am doing butternut in a pot. And then over here we've got the 2 pineapples, but that's all grown in pots, as well as our sweet potatoes, all in grow bags. But the trees that I'm talking about is your fruit trees, like your finger limes. So we have a few finger limes here. They've just flowered, and now we just wait to see if any fruits will develop on them. Yeah, so the fruit trees you are able to actually grow in pots are figs. So I've got a few figs in pots, and they're doing absolutely amazing. And this fig tree has a fig already, and you can see how small this fig tree is. It's probably not even up to my waist, and it's called the white Gianna. So the flesh is like green and the inside is red. So I look forward to this variety, and hopefully I enjoy it so that it stays at the homestead, and it will be getting an upgrade once it is at a bigger stage of its life. Also, from seed I grew 2 pomelos. So you can see on the 12th of January last year I put these seeds in. It is now December 25. Beautiful plant, as well as that. So I did 3 seeds and gifted 1 to a friend of mine. So yeah, that's absolutely gorgeous. Then we've got a apricot tree. This is my Babeca, and it is in a bigger pot, and it's doing amazing. All this light green leaves is new growth. So if it's growing like this, it means it's happy. And there's growth all over. It actually started to grow the minute the sun started coming out. We've had rain for the last nearly over a month and a half. So that's really nice to see. And also we harvest one of the apricots. It only had 1 this year. I just bought this apricot in spring this year, so it's a nice size. Very happy with it, and that will stay in a pot, as well as in pomegranate. This is the 8-ball pomegranate. Also got it in a small pot, and we've got 2 small pomegranates for the first time this year. So absolutely amazing. On the side of the homestead, which I haven't been really showing too much of because we've got some construction going on here, I've just got a bougainvillea growing there. This tree is a tree that I adore because my little bird is buried there. Had a little mouse bird called Harley. And then I've got this fern that I am so thankful it's coming back to life. So that is quite cool. And then over here I just have some berries. So this is the berry alley, and all of my berry vines were bearing flowers, fruit. We came to harvest it, and the birds once again got hold of every single fruit. And I didn't really get to taste my young berry because of that. So all I know is that the birds love it, and I didn't really get to harvest any of my raspberries either. So I've got 2 raspberries here, and I'm thinking of maybe putting the raspberries in a different location next season. Got the young berry here on this trellis. Then I got loganberry. So the loganberry seems to be doing very, very well. It's recovered nicely. I've got the blackberry that I'm not sure will come back to life. The garden boy accidentally ripped this thing out, and it's, well, I think I need to buy a new blackberry bush. And then over here we've got something called a tayberry. This is something that my sister-in-law actually blessed me with. She came home with 2. She came home with a loganberry for me and a tayberry. And I was hoping that I would have some fruit by now, but it's still very young, so no fruits yet. But yeah, all of them are doing absolutely great, except for not getting any of my harvest because of the birds. So this season has been really tough with birds. They even got hold of our peaches before they could actually basically grow. And peach tree is doing amazing, just no peaches. And on this side, I've got the melon. And the melon actually, this is a pepino melon. And the pepino melon was full with flowers. And it still is full with flowers. And I'm hoping to actually get pepinos. So just need to water the garden. It is dry, so it's water day today. So it doesn't really matter where you are able to grow in containers which you can move around, which is perfect for someone that is a renter, or you can just use raised beds like I do. And if you don't want raised beds, or if you don't want to grow in the ground, you can do vertical growing. If you are wanting to start growing something, I would recommend that you start with 1 or 2 crops. Maybe if you enjoy things like tomato, that would be a very nice place to start. And maybe cucumbers, or even a herb like basil or oregano. Very easy to grow. And then just put it in a pot and extend from there. You can then start with maybe 2 pots or a raised bed, but start somewhere, because harvesting what you've grown from seed or from a seedling is absolutely rewarding. So I hope you guys start your summer garden, and comment below what you would love to start growing, and I will definitely see you in this video, which I'm sure you will enjoy.